Directed and co-written by Ben Leonberg. We are talking Good Boy. And Ben Leonberg directs his own dog, Indy, in this movie. And this is an interesting film in many ways. And it is told 100% through the dog's perspective. The camera is on or around this particular dog the whole movie. So what is the story here? Well, it focuses on this guy called Todd, who is a young man who owns this dog called Indy, played by a dog called Indy, and he has inherited this rural farm which has been left to him by his grandfather, and there was rumours that this farm was haunted. His grandmother has died, his grandfather has died there and things. And Todd has got some type of terminal disease, we presume cancer. So he moves there with this dog, and he's not well, this Todd, and he is sort of suffering with cancer. He's, by all accounts, some type of late stage. But there seems to be some type of supernatural forces that are harassing Todd, and he can't see them, but only the dog can. And the dog is trying to obviously protect his owner when he's, going through various kind of peaks and troughs with his cancer. And that's kind of your story. So let's discuss. I will say this is a movie where I feel it is very much left up to your interpretation. I'm going to be honest, right from the get-go, I don't really know what actually happened in this movie. It's one of multiple things that could have happened. Either it is a depiction of a dog fearing to lose his owner to cancer. It is either a dog protecting his owner from legitimate third-party supernatural forces. It is either the dog kind of sensing that death is sort of coming for his owner, and we see that kind of manifest in these kind of creatures and things, and it's just this kind of slowly kind of coming towards it, and it can't be stopped. Or it's the owner having some type of a mental break, or he's just kind of obviously struggling with his cancer, and is that kind of that force which is this dark force. I don't really know which one it is, I'm going to be honest with you. But let's talk about the positives in this movie. So arguably you could say this is an art house movie, an experimental movie by all accounts. I mean, it's told from the dog's perspective, and it's original because of that. Now there have been other movies that have had a kind of POV dog character. There's been various kid movies, and you've had the movie Fluke, which was based on a James Herbert book. But this one, he's not like talking, and things like that. He is just a dog being a dog, and how it's kind of perceiving, and how it's sort of reacting to the owner and other kind of stimuli around what's kind of going on and things. We even get doggy dreams in this movie. So I got to give it plaudits for having this sort of original concept. The biggest compliment I would say for this movie is the way that it's filmed. It is a masterclass in cinematography. The use of shadow in this movie and light sources is incredible. This rural farm where, our human and dog character are now living is struggling with power. They've only got like a small generator, so it's very dimly lit. We actually never really see a good shot of our human Todd's face. It's always just kind of in shadow, or he's got a hoodie on or something. So the human characters, and we get like a neighbour and things, they're just kind of like avatars, really. They're not really, they don't really have, faces that we can relate to as viewers. And I found that very interesting. But there's some fantastic use of light and shadow, and the way this movie is lit, and how it informs this kind of creepy atmosphere. And we kind of see these entities, potentially, if they are entities, you know, attacking, coming closer towards Todd, and obviously, you know, Todd gets a view, like he can see footprints at one point and stuff, so it's kind of like, are they, you know, are they real? And they're all kind of, they make use of shadows. There's a really good scene, for example, where we have a sequence where Todd is in bed and there's this entity kind of coming towards him, and it's kind of all these candles are slowly going out as he kind of approaches, this entity kind of approaches the Todd character. So I thought this movie was wonderfully well shot, and because it's all in the kind of the dog's perspective, the camera is quite often quite low and kind of looking up at the kind of the owner and things like that. So, you know, it's a marvelous film in regards to its cinematography, its kind of its camera placement, the way the movie's shot and things like that, and all the technical elements that kind of go into that. The movie's nearly all set at night because Todd is not there during a lot of the day, so it's kind of like we only really see his interactions mostly during the kind of the evening and things like that, and sometimes we'll get the dog on its own and stuff. But yeah, it's a very kind of well shot movie. I mean, the acting perfectly fine, because there's really not a lot of actual dialogue in this movie, to be honest. We only really ever get the character of Todd either talking to the dog, and it's all like, you know, you're a good boy and all the rest of it. Fine, that's how people talk to dogs. Or we get a couple of sequences where, you know, he's on the phone to his sister. That's basically the kind of the bulk of the dialogue there. It was all good, but there was not a lot of it, obviously. But the physical acting was all pretty good. The movie genuinely does have a creepy sense. Now, you might not really know what's going on. I certainly didn't. But nonetheless, there is still an element of creepiness factor. Whatever's going on, there is some kind of like good sequences where we do see kind of entities that are kind of creeping up and getting close. And there's one sequence, for example, which we have a sequence where the dog is outside in like a kind of a kennel and it's chained up, and an entity attacks the dog. They're thinking, well, that must be this third party then. But there's a sequence at the end that kind of refutes that. I don't know. It's hard to know, but nonetheless, there are some creepy sequences. It feels kind of quite spooky at times, the way it's shot, because of this kind of like the constant rain, the light, the low light, and this kind of like understated music that's kind of playing, which I think, outside of one annoying drum beat sequence, it's pretty good. So, you know, it's original. I think it's extraordinarily well made. The dog is fantastic in it. I mean, you know, this is the director's actual dog, as I've said. So, you know, this dog does a good job. Let me just say that. You know, so, and it's an interesting kind of perspective as well, having this kind of from a you know, a dog's point of view. And like I said, we even get some odd sequences with the dog streaming. So that's kind of bizarre. So, what doesn't work? I mean, the movie's so vague, it might be unsatisfying for some. It is very much kind of left up to your interpretation. The real lack of dialogue in this movie means it is more or less almost not a silent film, but it's almost a dialogue-free film. So you're just kind of watching these visual cues and kind of filling in the blanks to yourself. Because this is told from the dog's perspective and he can't understand things like exposition and stuff, you don't get any. But as such, it makes the storytelling extraordinarily vague. And, you know, it is entirely left up to, I think, your perception of what is going on and how you have perceived it. Like I said, I personally think it could be a number of different explanations about what it is, but who knows, really, because, as I say, it's really only ever told from the dog's perspective. I do think it would have been maybe beneficial to have the sister turn up and have a conversation or something like that, have ways to get more dialogue in the movie. Clearly this was a choice not to do that, but I think having such bare minimal dialogue in this movie makes it, you know, somewhat almost of a little bit of a mission to kind of try and pick out these visual clues, because that's kind of all you've got. I don't know if the doggy dreams really helped, if I'm completely honest, because they kind of seemed more like narrative human dreams is the best way I would describe it. I don't know if dogs would really dream like that. I mean, I'm not a dog, and neither are you, so you're not going to be able to tell. But yeah, the doggy dreams, I'm not sure were that helpful, if I'm honest. There's other things here. It's like we have a second dog, which is either a ghost, it's either imagined, or there is actually another dog there. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, what is going on in this movie? I think it may be sort of, the concept of it is stretched a little thin. Now, this is a great example. This would have been an absolutely killer short in a kind of anthology. For the length of a full movie, I feel the concept is a little stretched. And as interesting as the movie is, and it is very visually interesting, the narrative, I think, is way overstretched because there's very little narrative. We know next to nothing about what's going on. I guess I don't even really know if these creatures were actually some type of supernatural entities, rather than just this dog's manifest fear of either death or actually cancer, because they kind of look all oily and sort of like black and stuff, or if it's just this kind of this owner sort of coming to the cancer and sort of mistreating his dog because of it. It's really unclear, and it's deliberately so. So I was very excited to see this movie, I have to say, because I was interested to see a different take on a kind of a movie like this. Don't worry, you know, for those of you who like, oh, I can't see a dog get kind of hurt in films, it's nothing really like that, to be honest. There's a couple of you know, sequences where the dog gets splattered with a couple of bits, but this is the director's dog. He's not going to hurt his dog. But I feel you can kind of watch it without fear of that. But I don't know if it's the concept was maybe a little overstretched. Had this been a short, it would have been a killer short. Or it needed to have more in it, more dialogue in it, maybe more interactions with humans or something like that. Maybe a bit more to it than what it is for a feature. I will give it a 6 out of 10. I thought I was going to like this more than I did, if I'm completely honest. But yeah, it's still, you know, as I say, visually speaking, it's an absolute masterwork, really. But narratively, I think it does leave to be desired there. Anyway, 6 out of 10. Leave me your thoughts, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.